Hello, my name is Darryl, President of Vacuum Pressing Systems. In this video, we are going to finish assembling the Fliptop with vase. In the first video, we put together the base. In the second video, we put together the frame. And now we're going to put the frame on the base. So with that, let's get started. So we finished the gasket. It's all bonded. We flipped the frame over. Now it's time to adhere the frame to the table. First with the hinges, so there are 4 hinges, 2 T-nuts that go in the frame, 2 bolts that go in the T-nuts, and 2 screws that will go into the tabletop edge. So I'm going to start that process. So the hinges are attached to the frame, and now we need to attach them to the table edge. Now if you notice that there are slotted screws that get attached to the table edge, and what we need is a pinch. See how there's a little flex there? It's important that the gasket is pinched. On the other sides of the frames, there's hold down latches that'll do the pinch. So what we want to do here is we want to create a pinch permanently. So I'm take this down so it's pretty good. So it's tight like that. Now I already put the screws holes in so that it would be pinched, right? So you put the other one in. There we go. So the 4 hinges are on and they're pinched, so the gasket is pinched to the table. The 2 hinges on the ends, you want them pushed as close to the end as possible because you want a little extra pinch on the gasket at the corner. So the most important thing is that these are on the ends, the other 2 just evenly spaced is fine. So the next step is the draw latches, and on a 10-foot frame you get 6, and on a 8-foot frame you get 5. So 1 for each end, and then 4 along the front edge. And you really want to put the latches that are in this corner as close to the edge as you can, because you want that pinch on the corner of the gasket. So I'm going to start putting these in, and then we'll do a close-up of what they look like once they're assembled. So the latches are all put on, and the last part is the adjustment. What you want to see, you can see is there's a gap there. You want to see that gap close with a little extra pinch, and you can make a simple adjustment on here. I've adjusted these already, so they're fine. And that completes the attachment of the latches. So we're going to put on the pneumatic cylinders here, and there's clearly a left one and a right one. And the way you can tell which is that this bracket is on the side of the hinge. So this one would go here. This one, the bracket's on the wrong side. That goes on the other side. I'm going to attach it. These are the 8mm T-nuts that were put in a long time ago, earlier in the process. And I'm going to attach to that. And then I'm going to show you where we're at once this is put on. Okay, so the instructions say that the center of the post should be 12.5 inches from the hinge edge. And there were 2 more T-nuts that I put in behind here. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up. One other thing is there is this piece of masking tape right here that holds this little shim so that this metal doesn't bump against the cylinder. So after I tighten these bolts, I'm going to take that out. Next, I'm going to attach the tubing, and the white tubing goes to the bottom. You want to have a little slack on that. I'm probably going to put it in about like that. So that one just is a push in, push it. This one goes to the top. Now I also want some slack on this one. Probably about like that. There we go. Those lines are installed. Next, I'm going to go around and do the same on the other side. Before we connect the air compressed line, we're going to open that valve about 1 turn, okay, on each of them, and then we can adjust it further later. Now I'm going to connect compressed air line and push this away from me, which draws the cylinders down all the way. In this step, I'm wanting the pneumatic cylinder to pull down just a little bit on the frame, again, to get a pinch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this out the way it is now. Okay. And then I'm just going to rotate this 1/2 turn. Okay. So that means when you go to put this, you can see that it's a little bit below now. I can get it back in there. There we go. And now I just have to lift it a little bit so it screws back into that hole. And then I'll tighten it up. Okay, now that the cylinders are adjusted properly, let's test it out. So we're going to raise it. I want to let the air get in the cylinder once. So that's up. You can adjust the little needle valves if you want it to go slower and faster. And then you push away to bring it back down. Now, when you get to about here, or slightly above, you want to pull the membrane out from underneath. Now this membrane, because it's so extra, a custom membrane that's so tall, really have to go around and make sure that the membrane's pulled out. Check it again. Make sure that we're pulled out everywhere. Okay? And then you can lower it the rest of the way. So we're pretty much done except for one last thing, and that is to put these little decorative caps in the end. One other thing, in the instruction manual, it says that now is when you level the feet, but we leveled it previously. It doesn't matter whether you do it earlier when the base is made. So this is pretty straightforward. You just go and there you go. You don't need it, but it makes it look prettier. So we're ready to go ahead and do a test run here. The last thing we'll do is hook up the pump. This is our 11 CFM high flow pump. Just a side note, all our pumps come with a hose designed to be used with the bag. You get a separate hose that works with the table, and sometimes people are confused and think, how do I use this with the table? And it's not. It's in case you end up wanting to run a bag, then you have the proper hose. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug this in. I'll turn it around. Heavy beast. And so now we're going to put on down the latches. Okay, let's turn it on. Oh, let's shut the valve. Here's something that often happens is somebody's standing here waiting and the valve, the release valve is left open. So let's shut that. Takes a little time to get the free air out of the bag before it starts drawing down. And all of this sucks down to the table. So even though you've got all this extra membrane, you have a call on top of your work, it all compresses down and gives you the same pressure, so it doesn't really matter that you have extra membrane. And there it is. Okay, imagine we've pressed our panel and we're ready to take it out. So the first thing you do is shut off the pump, open the release valve, and undo the latches. One thing to really be careful of is on this frame table, you see the latches on the front edge, but be careful that you don't forget to undo the latches on the two ends. Otherwise, that puts a lot of pressure on the frame when the cylinders try to lift it, and you could actually damage something. So there it is. The last thing is when you're not using it, it's best to keep it in the lowered position, but without the latches hooked, because you'll end up compressing the gasket, which over time needs to be replaced anyway, but you know, don't do it unnecessarily. You can even just have the frame, you know, close to, well, better than that. So I'm going to pull out the membrane from underneath here. But you could just leave it like that, so there isn't a lot of pressure. And that completes the assembly. Hopefully this has been clear, and good luck with your pressing.